Thank you, James. That was beautiful. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our community worship with the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. Yes, that is our new name chosen by our congregation last Sunday. Already to shorten that many syllable name, some of us are calling us UUCville. Some say UUCC. What is your favorite? Happy Pride Month. I'm Debbie Norton, your worship weaver today. I'm so glad to welcome all of you into this virtual sanctuary. Our physical sanctuary was built in 1950 on hilltop land acquired by the church after World War II. For centuries before us, this land has been the dwelling place of the Monacan people. Later, this land was part of plantations of the Norris family and then Rugby, who each enslaved African Americans for labor and profit. We honor all those who dwelt here before and all those whose lives led to this moment of our gathering as a community of memory and hope. Here to offer you a welcome is board member Jim Gorham.
Hello, everyone. I am Jim Gorham, and I've been an at-large member of the Board of Trustees for the last year. I was filling a position that was vacated, and I'm so excited that I was elected to serve a full 3-year term. So that's just so exciting to me that I can come back and give to this congregation in the same and in new ways over the next 3 years. I love this congregation. I love this community. It has been such a great beacon for me especially over the last year and a half. Every week is something I look forward to, and it revitalizes me. And in fact, all I'd have to do is think about the people I know and the kind of work that we do during the middle of the week, and that revitalizes me on a daily basis. So I am just so happy to welcome you here and welcome you with us. And I would like to remind you and to tell those who don't know that afterwards we will have a virtual coffee hour. It's a social hour, really, right afterwards. And on Zoom, you stay on the same Zoom line, and there will be one of the breakout rooms will be dedicated to discussing our new church budget. As you know, the budget had to change, and so we have at least one of the breakout rooms will be a chance to discuss the budget at some length for those of you that wish to do that. So please stick around after the service is over, and thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jim. In our service today, Christine Gresser will be sharing your joys and sorrows, and Linda McNeil and Greg Townsend are joining Reverends Linda and Leah in our congregation's celebration of Pride Month, reviewing what we have done on our journey to being a UUA designated welcoming congregation. And also we will explore some of what lies ahead on our continuing journey. Behind the scenes, Sean Scally, Kelly Dryden, and Carolyn Hines are running the show, and we are grateful for the musical gifts of James Smith and the video editing from Ellie Ransom. To see a complete order of service, you can go to uucharlottesville.org. And now let us join our hearts and minds in worship with these words, adapted from a poem for Gay Pride Sunday by the Reverend Hannah Roberts Villeneuve. Welcome the spirit of pride, whether it is a protest or a party for you. Let us rejoice as we resist, dance as we demand change, celebrate as we create community that delights in all of who we are. Bring all of that with you this morning. Bring your policy demands, bring your glitter. Bring your Supreme Court broken heart. Bring your rainbow socks. Bring the emptiness you feel for our siblings gone too soon. Bring your Gloria Estefan remix. Bring your tender hope for change. Bring your most garish eyeshadow. Bring your spirit, tattered and battered by a world that seems insistent on choosing fear and hate. Gather up all these things and bring them here to a place where we don't have to shoulder these burdens or celebrate these joys alone. Come, let us worship together.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
We are the Fraser Bias family. I'm Kay Fraser.
I'm Jude Bias.
We've been coming to this church for almost 5 years, and what we love about being a part of this community is that it is welcoming, kind, and caring.
We light our chalice this morning, the symbol of our UU faith. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of the open minds. This is a church of the helping hands. This is a church of the loving hearts.
Our congregation's chalice has been lit and will have its own screen throughout the service. If you have a chalice in your home, please light it now.
1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Hello, beautiful today. Hello, beautiful now. Hello, beautiful sunshine, honey. I love you and how. Hello, beautiful me. Hello, perfect right here. Hello, wonderful day that's waiting. Goodbye, doubt and fear. Hello, beautiful today. Hello, beautiful now. Hello, beautiful sunshine, honey. I love you and how. Hello, beautiful me. Hello, perfect right here. Hello, wonderful day that's waiting. Goodbye, doubt and fear. Bye-bye now. Hello, beautiful today. Let the sunshine. Hello, beautiful now. Let the sunshine. Hello, beautiful sunshine. I love you and how. Hello, beautiful me. Let the sunshine. Hello, perfect right here. Let the sunshine. Hello, wonderful day that's waiting. Goodbye, doubt and fear. Bye-bye now. Hello, beautiful day.
Hello, I'm the Reverend Michael Crumpler, the LGBTQ and Multicultural Programs Director at the Unitarian Universalist Association. What a joy to have been asked to share with you a prideful greeting at the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Charlottesville. Happy Pride, and thank you for being a welcoming congregation. What that means is that as a welcoming congregation, you have committed to being a home for the LGBTQ, queer, and trans communities. Usually when we hear of welcome, I think of like welcoming a guest into your space, providing them with sweet tea if you're in the South, or offering them, a place to stay for a night or two. But in Unitarian Universalism, welcoming is more than that. Imagine greeting a guest at your step and then welcoming them to move all the way in to, share the pantry, share the linen closet, offer up a bedroom, and just say, your home is my home. That is what our welcoming congregation is. We don't want to just be a congregation that is nice to people. We want to be a congregation. We want to be a network of congregations or community of congregations that center those who come into our congregation seeking sanctuary, seeking refuge. And that is our dream for welcoming. Our Welcoming Congregations program has been around for upwards of 30 years. But recently, we have asked congregations to recommit to that. So for Pride, I invite you to not just be a welcoming congregation, but a welcoming congregation that celebrates inclusion, trans inclusion, LGBTQ inclusion, the intersections of race and queerness, what it means to be queer and a refugee, queer and an immigrant, what it means to change to queer your congregation and change what it means to be a spiritual home for all kinds of folks. And our latest iteration of that is through the 5 practices of welcome renewal. This is an annual commitment to always be queering your congregation, to always be revealing yourselves as a congregation that is a place for all people. The 5 practices of welcome renewal are: become a welcoming congregation if you're not one already, offer welcoming worship services, celebrate the welcoming days of observance, offer welcoming religious education, and support a welcoming project. These 5 practices, which you can learn more about at uua.org/LGBTQ, are our way of not just having a flag in front of the congregation, but practicing, naming, remembering, as we do all areas of social justice, immigration, climate justice, racial justice, all of these things, and not just siloing them off, but joining them together. So this Pride, I invite you to recommit to your welcome and not just be a nice congregation or a congregation that is nice to people, but a congregation that receives folks into your family, into your institution, fully integrated and rooted and grounded in love. Thank you and have a wonderful Pride.
Today we're celebrating Pride. We'll be celebrating Pride by reading a true story about love, equality, and hope. We're going to be reading Pride, the story of Harvey Milk. Pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the Rainbow Flag, written by Rob Sanders. You have to give them hope. Hope for a better world. Hope for a better tomorrow. Harvey Milk was an ordinary man, but he had an extraordinary dream. That dream would change history. Harvey dreamed that everyone, even gay people, would have equality. He dreamed that he and his friends would be treated like everyone else. He dreamed that one day people would be able to live and love as they pleased. With his New York accent, Harvey talked to everyone about his dream. His voice boomed. His body bounced with energy and excitement. Some people listened, a few agreed, most did not. But Harvey's big voice and his big dream wouldn't be stopped. He discovered the best way to change laws was to help make laws. In 1977, Harvey Milk took a big step toward that dream when he became one of the first openly gay people to be elected political office in the United States. Harvey and his friends planned marches to protest inequality and unfair laws, and just days before one of the marches, Harvey had an idea. A symbol, he thought. We need a symbol that shows who we are and how we feel. Something to carry during the march, something to make people feel they're part of a community, something to give people hope, something extraordinary. Harvey knew an artist who could help, Gilbert Baker. When Harvey asked, Gilbert said, "We need a flag." Volunteers arrived to help Gilbert's design come to life. Together, they dipped fabric into large barrels filled with vivid, vibrant dyes. They cut and they pieced and they sewed until Harvey, Gilbert, and all the other activists had a flag with 8 colorful stripes, a flag that Harvey hoped would give hope. Rights are won only by those who make their voices heard. On June 25, 1978, when it was time for the march, a breeze stirred in San Francisco. The flag was unfurled. The wind blew, the flag fluttered and flew. A rainbow, as bright and unique as the men and women who walked behind it, led the march. Harvey and the people asked for equality. They asked to be treated like everyone else. They asked to live and love as they pleased. They hoped the march would make a difference. Harvey was proud of the flag and proud of himself. He hoped others could be proud too. 5 months later, on the morning of November 27, 1978, Harvey and the mayor of San Francisco were assassinated. Their lives were taken by a man who did not think like Harvey, feel like him, or love like him. The flag did not fly on that dark, sad night. Instead, thousands and thousands of people marched silently, carrying candles. The candlelight wove through the streets of San Francisco, up and down hills, and around city buildings. A mile of glowing candlelight in honor to 2 lives lost. That could have been the end of Harvey's dream and the colorful flag, but it wasn't. More rainbow flags were created. Some of the colors changed. 8 stripes became 6 stripes, but the meaning of the flag did not change. It was the flag of equality. More and more people began to think of the flag as their flag, and they began to feel pride. They began to feel hope. In 1994, Gilbert Baker designed another rainbow flag. This one was larger than all the rest. Women and men, side by side, carried the flag, a proud mile-long rainbow floating through New York City. The flag wove through the streets, up and down avenues and boulevards and around city buildings. The people demanded equality. They demanded to be treated like everyone else. They demanded to live and love as they pleased. They were proud. They had hope. They would make a difference. I asked for the movement to continue and for the movement to grow. More rainbow flags were made. Some were printed on bumper stickers and t-shirts. Others were hoisted on lampposts and in streets of Chicago. One was hung in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. Soon the rainbow flag was flying in other countries like Brazil, England, Israel, Russia, Singapore, Turkey. The rainbow flag now unfurled on farms and in suburbs and in cities. The flag flew proudly outside of public buildings, hotels, shops, restaurants, churches, and homes. And once, on June 26, 2015, the White House was awash in colors of the rainbow flag. Equality, pride, hope, love. Harvey's dream became a flag for all of us.
your loving is a miracle. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Thank you, James. The time in our community worship for making an offering of financial gifts is an important moment in which we invite you to put your faith into action. Each month, we designate one local agency which is serving people's needs in our community. In June, our social action collection will be given to the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. We are so happy to welcome Andrea Douglas, Executive Director, to tell us now how your gifts help the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center do its important work.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Douglas, and I'm the Executive Director of the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. Thank you all for your continued support of the center's work. We have, since 2013, attempted to create a culturally equitable space in Charlottesville that recovers the important stories of African Americans in our community. Our recent efforts have included 2 projects, Mapping Seville and Embracing Our Narrative, our Teacher Training Institute. Mapping Seville revealed the impact of racial covenants found in housing deeds, thereby revealing property segregation in Charlottesville. This information is being used to guide the comprehensive plan. To date, we have completed all of the Charlottesville's deeds and have moved on to Albemarle County. This summer, in our Embracing Our Narratives program, we will train 25 teachers from Charlottesville and Albemarle in this history, as well as the broader history of African Americans from the post-revolutionary period to present day. Through this program, we have trained as many as 50 teachers, and each one of them in survey agreed that Embracing Our Narratives was the best PD program they had ever attended. Our next step in this program is to create teacher resources and to assist those teachers in developing curriculum. We would not have been able to do so much so quickly without your support. We appreciate your consideration and look forward to seeing you all at the Heritage Center.
Thank you, Ms. Douglas. This morning, we encourage your gifts to the African American Heritage Center. You can text your donations or send a check with June SAC in the memo line to the church. And we invite and are grateful for the gifts you make to sustain the ministry of this congregation. We give thanks for all that you love, and we encourage you to be generous in putting your love into action with your gifts. May your donation, like your love, go out into the world. Please join me in dedicating the offering now, saying these words. We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good.
Go out and tell our story, let it echo far and wide, make them hear you, make them hear you. How justice was our battle, and how justice was denied, make them hear you. Make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles which are more than black or white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Go out and tell our story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you. When they hear you, I'll be near you
Happy Pride Month, everyone. One of the things I've been happy to learn about this congregation's ministry over the years is its commitment to becoming what the UUA calls a welcoming congregation, exploring how to be welcoming to folks who are LGBTQ, their families and friends, and how to witness in public for gay rights. I've invited a few of your leaders to speak about that in just a moment. June is Gay Pride Month, remembering June 28, 1969, when police attacked and arrested gay folks at the Stonewall Inn, a club in Greenwich Village in New York City. Over the years, my ministry has been connected to the protests and parties surrounding pride parades and celebrating and working with LGBTQ friends and families in UU congregations and PFLAG and other groups who value the lives of all people. My eyes were opened to the need for organized institutional commitment to gay rights when I became a UU religious professional. Our sexuality curriculum, back when I started it was called AYS, About Your Sexuality, and it was the forerunner to OWL, Our Whole Lives. Our sexuality curriculum was on the cutting edge, teaching young people from the 1970s and onward that being gay was a normal and acceptable part of human sexuality. And the UUA started ordaining openly gay folks into our ministry back in the 1960s and 70s. But the denomination realized that more was needed to be done, and so they started the program of congregational education called Welcoming Congregation in the late 1980s. I have a vivid memory of meeting a young social worker, Karen Jones, in 1989 or 1990 in Mount Vernon, Virginia. And she inspired that congregation I was working with to introduce the Welcoming Congregation there. There was a surprising amount of resistance among those good people, but when Karen convinced a somewhat officious retired Army colonel, who was then the respected chair of the board, to support her work, this work together, the rest of the congregation joined in. It was an inspiring several years of transformation, and the experience taught me a lot. Thank you, Karen Jones. This Karen Jones, by the way, later moved to Charlottesville, married Leah Durland, creating the Durland-Jones family. Another story about being a Unitarian Universalist publicly working for gay rights. When I was serving the Arlington, Virginia UU congregation, I was very involved with People of Faith, the interfaith arm of Equality Virginia. And through that organization, we were engaged in the marriage equality issue. Over the summer of 2014, we became aware that the Virginia Attorney General was considering Virginia's stance on this. And we all took assignments to be ready to show up at our local county courthouses just in case they started issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. On Monday morning, October 6, 2014, I got a call that Mark Herring had scheduled a press conference at the Arlington County Courthouse. I jumped into action and sped up there, calling all my Equality Virginia, PFLAG, UU Welcoming Congregation folks, and press contacts on the way. And I arrived in time to be present when the announcement was made. Attorney General Herring said that beginning that very day, county clerks were authorized to issue licenses for same-sex couples to be married. We cheered, we cried, we hugged. After Attorney General Herring left and the camera crews were packing up, the Arlington County Clerk Paul Ferguson told all the media folks, "Wait a minute. If you can hang around, my minister, the Reverend Olson Peebles, is here and she will marry any couple who applies, right here, right now." So they did. A number of couples had arrived to get their licenses, and a group of my church members announced they would pay for the license fees, and one of the couples decided to accept my offer to marry them that very morning. My church members offered red roses to the brides, and I performed their ceremony on that courthouse plaza in front of cameras from national and international news outlets. To this day, if NBC is doing a story on gay marriage, they often will show one of the photos of that wedding that was on the front page of papers around the world in October of 2014. Being present that day with church members who had worked so hard for so many years for this moment, being present and being able to legally marry two young women was one of the most joyful moments of my ministry. And it brought tears as well, as I thought of all the folks I had held over the years, holding them as they dealt with rejection, discrimination, pain, and loneliness. And so, happy Pride. This June, I mourn the pain of the past. I resolve to continue to be an advocate, and I celebrate the exhilaration of Pride Month, especially as a Unitarian Universalist.
Good morning. Pam and I started teaching the UU Comprehensive Sexuality Curriculum called Our Whole Lives, or OWL, to our 7th and 8th graders about 15 years ago. One of the things that we have done almost every year that we've taught is to invite a panel of speakers from the local LGBTQ plus community for a Q&A with the youth. These sessions are incredibly popular. In our end of the year surveys, the youth always place these sessions right behind snacks and lock-ins as the thing they liked most about OWL. When we started teaching OWL, it was clear that this was an eye-opening experience for many of the youth. They were hearing about lived experiences, both positive and negative, that they hadn't encountered, heard about, or even thought of before. I think that these were invaluable moments in introducing our youth to concerns that they would come upon going forward. But things have changed since then. It is apparent that by the time that they're in our OWL class now, most of the youth have some experience thinking deeply about LGBTQ plus issues on a personal or societal level. Meeting the panel is no longer the mind expanding experience that it was for our youth 15 years ago, but it is no less invaluable in that it continues to provide insights and guidance on issues that they will deal with as members of the community or as allies. The curriculum itself serves as a tremendous teaching tool. We discuss the interplay and independence of biology, gender identity, sexual orientation, and gender roles. We examine the impact of language and how important it is to be cognizant of how we use it. We watch videos reflecting on the experiences of transgender individuals. It has been an incredible honor to accompany our youth on their journey to a deeper understanding and appreciation of our LGBTQ plus community and the lives lived by members of the community. It has become abundantly clear to me that this comprehension benefits our youth, their peers, and society at large as we join together in a rich and diverse community that celebrates the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Good morning. My name is Linda McNeil, and I also go as Mac in some circles, which I like because it's a more gender neutral name. Reverend Linda reached out to me and to Rosie to share with you the welcoming congregation story and how we came to have that fabulous marriage equality banner on the front of our church. So, to the best of our recollection, starting decades ago and following the UUA's official guidelines for becoming a welcoming congregation, a handful, an intergenerational handful of congregants met in Lois Brown's living room on a dark and stormy night. It really was. Over the course of the next few years, we shared many congregational conversations, several Sunday services, an anonymous Ask It basket, a movie series, guest speakers, and workshops. And let's not forget the drag queen show at Gravity Lounge with the now internationally famous Kinsey Six. And how about that gender bender dance we held in the social hall, replete with costume, makeup, and accessory stations? It was all such fun and positivity, right? Well, not exactly. There were those who said that we didn't need to bother with such a lengthy and structured process. We were already welcoming and well informed. But after many conversations and posting of little questions all around the church on the various bulletin boards, questions like, do you assume your child is straight? How would you feel if a transgender person sat down next to you in the sanctuary? What do you feel when you see same-gender couples kissing? What would be your first reaction if your child came out to you? Questions like these and many conversations urged some of these people to recognize deeply internalized prejudices and even some contempt that they had not realized they held. There were also a few folks who adamantly opposed becoming the gay church, much less opening the door for having a lesbian, gay, bi, or trans minister. One member even left after the vote to raise the marriage equality banner. Ah, yes, the banner. If I recall correctly, it was in response to DOMA, the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, which codified the illegality of gay marriage and increased the already very real possibility of gay parents losing their children to the courts. The banner also birthed our congregation's public witness program. Prior to that, we didn't really have a mechanism for discussing or voting on or speaking out as a whole on issues of importance to us. It was a lengthy process to develop and fine-tune that public witness system, the public witness system. And it was very gratifying to finally put it to its first test for such a controversial and critical cause. On June 25th, 2015, the United States Supreme Court struck down all gay marriage bans nationally and legalized marriage. Our congregation questioned whether or not to remove the banner. After all, really didn't need it anymore, right? Well, I'm certainly thankful that the banner remains. In my opinion, our welcoming congregation status and our marriage equality banner send a clear message well beyond queer rights about who we try to be in this world. Let us continue to move closer every day to that very challenging goal of true inclusion and celebration of diversity. May it be so. Peace and love.
Our story of becoming a welcoming congregation is complex and multifaceted. Over the years, we have done hard, good, and soulful work with thanks to the dedicated leaders in our congregation who gave their time and energy and passion to help us live our UU faith and walk our talk around being a truly welcoming space and community for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. As we celebrate today, it is important to name that our journey to becoming a welcoming congregation has been a bumpy road filled with love, pain, tears, challenges, struggle, more love, courage, compassion, deep listening, personal growth, and change. The hanging of our rainbow marriage rights banner on the front of the church building was not a decision made lightly by the congregation. For me, personally, after years of work, that act of voting and then placing the banner on our building was what made me feel like we could claim ourselves to be a welcoming congregation. It was a celebration. And what a day when marriage rights for gays and lesbians was finally made legal in our country. Such an important milestone for my family and for so many other couples and families. My friends, our marriage rights rainbow banner has been doing our welcoming congregation work now for many years. Yes, our banner has been doing the work. It is a constant message, a proclamation to the larger community of our affirmation of the full humanity of LGBTQ people. But the work, this important work, our work, is not done. Simply having a banner and the welcoming congregation designation is not enough. Is it time for us to re-engage in a more personal way with this work? Is it time for us to make the commitment to renew our welcoming congregation status, as Reverend Michael explained in his greeting to us this morning? With the larger LGBTQ community and our LGBTQ family members and loved ones, particularly our trans siblings in Charlottesville, in the wider US, and around the globe, still experiencing discrimination, hate, persecution, and struggle, I hope that it might be time for us to re-engage with intention in our welcoming congregation work as part of our personal and collective faith development and social justice witness. As we look at who we want to be as a community of faith in the coming days, weeks, and years, my prayer is that we will answer the call of love and rededicate ourselves to keep doing the work of building the community we dream of. Will you join me? I hope so. Amen, and blessed be.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are queer and cis together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are queer and cis together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
I've adapted our benediction this morning from the words of the Reverend Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, yet we do not leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, and our ongoing work to recognize and honor each other's full humanity, the work of helping heal our hurting world and living our UU faith boldly and beautifully continues. Our chalice is now extinguished, and until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be courageous, be loving. Go in peace. Blessed be.